Welcome to Your Vote, the St. Joseph News Press Now's coverage of the upcoming municipal election. I'm local government reporter Quinn Ritzdorf, and we're continuing our Q&A series with the mayoral candidates. This will be our last Q&A covering crime. And with us, John Josendale. John, thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
We'll jump right in. First question about crime. Both you and your opponent, Gary Wilkinson, have mentioned, bringing more resources to public safety organizations in town. What does that mean to you? What do you mean by that as bringing more resources?
When you talk about resources in first responders and police in anything like that is a number of different things. And they're in talking to the different groups, you have personnel. We're short in personnel, training. And then to bring people on board is a very high cost to the individual coming. And then if the city or the organization puts out money to help them do that, there's no guarantee that they're going to stay and be here. But then when you talk about other resources, you talk about whether it be police cars, whether you talk about equipment, the fire department, uniforms, things such as that. And so it's a large gambit of things that you talk about. And it's a matter of listening and talking to them and working with them. And each of them have their own. So one of the things that I feel like has happened in the past, and I've learned a lot in the past 9 months. So they all get compared as one, being one, they're all the same group, and they're not. The police have one set of requirements, the fire department, first responder, each of them have their own unique areas. There are some very common things. There was some ARPA money that was able to use for the communication system. There is other ARPA money that will be available in the next go-round that can be used for some of these things. So it's a matter of prioritizing and talking to them. We can talk about resources, but then you also have to talk about compensation. You have to talk about the entire gambit of what you're talking about with them, because it's not just one issue. And everybody tries to simplify it with saying it's one thing. And it's important to hear them and not just hear them. I mean, listen to what they say.
You mentioned the shortage in the police department. What would you do? I guess what can the city do to increase staff at the police department?
Well, there's some things already in the works. I think everybody knows there is a program that through, again, ARPA funds, they're working with the university to get them through, to help them through the training session out at the college and get them on board. I think doing recruiting, also making their pay scale a level that is competitive. We are, I think now the 7th or 8th largest city in the state of Missouri, and yet our pay scale doesn't reflect that. And everybody uses the excuse, well, we're in a different place. Well, we are, but we're not. If you're recruiting from around the area and you spend the money to train and bring these people on board, and yet after you get them trained and you've spent thousands of dollars to do that, and they're recruited away by somebody who pays them more money, then it's a lost cause. So you have to come up with a solution to where they're being compensated correctly, fairly, and yet they feel good about that, but we're competitive with the marketplace.
There seems to be a structure fire nearly every single day, at least one every single day.
It seems like.
Yeah, right. What can be done to limit the number of structure fires in town?
Well, that's a two-sided sword, very honestly. The first thing we got to do is we've got to clean up the blight. We've got to clean up some of the structures that are just vacant and boarded up and either owned by out-of-town people or just the property's there and nobody does anything about it. I think it's important that we fix that. I think it's important that we come down hard on that area, because until we do that, and there are different ways you can do that, whether it be, I've heard an idea of a board tax. So if you board up a building, you have X amount of time to fix that, or you're going to get hit with fines on it and a payment to that. And some of those people just, they don't care. So then we have to be more aggressive, whether it be through legal action or whatever, to make sure that happens. The other side is, you have to address the homeless. You have to address the people that are going in and trying to get warm and start fires or do whatever. But that's done by agencies, and I think that the city's role is to support those agencies vigorously to make sure that that's happening to help solve those problems.
You brought up the pay rate for the police department. The city still has to finish paying out the rest of both the police department and the fire department's pay plan, but the big thing is finding the money to do so. So what would be your plan to give those public safety agencies the rest of their pay plan?
Well, first of all, it's obligated. I mean, the commitment was made, and I'm a strong believer that if you make a promise and say that, and in talking to the police department and talking to the officers, those are things that were negotiated and promised. So we need to do that. One of the first things the new council does, they're sworn in at the end of April, and then immediately they're thrown the new budget. And as I've said many times, the budget is a book about a foot thick. So again, diving into that and seeing where it is, because you have to be able, I am not one that believes in higher taxes and going out and doing it. I've got to believe that there's money in that budget, and working with the budget to make sure that we are funding that and making sure that they get what they are deserved.
Are there any changes or strategies, I guess, you would implement at either the police department, fire department, and another public safety agency, health department at all?
First of all, remember it's a charter organization, and we run under the city manager. Ideas that I believe in is that we listen to what they have to say. I don't see any great changes. I think that we've just gone through a change of the fire department with the chief. I guess yesterday, I think they just announced the new deputy chief. So I think that's a positive thing there. I think listening to where the people are, the health department, and you think of what the health department's gone through in the last couple of years, and they are kind of an unsung hero, and yet a lot of people would say they're the enemy because of some of the things they had to go through. But they're just doing what they see is right. And I think working with the city manager in the direction that he feels appropriate, and making sure that we as a city go in one direction instead of multiple directions.
Drug overdose deaths have more than doubled in just 2 years here in town. What steps would you take to limit the amount of drugs?
Well, that's kind of an interesting question, because limit the amount of drugs in St. Joseph is not really something you can do. I mean, it's there. There was the opioid lawsuit that just happened, and so there's going to be some money available. There is issues in schools with using, different drugs, and the fentanyl problem that's out there. So there are numerous problems, and I think one of the obligations that we have, and one of the things that we should really push, is awareness and understanding, and then crack down on the illegal drugs and things that are in the area. I think that understanding that, getting the public awareness out there, and then working with the different organizations, again, so that they know that they're being supported to stop it and try to correct it as we go forward.
Yeah. You just mentioned the opioid lawsuit. $1.3 million is what the city will get over a lengthy period of time. But still, they are expecting a hefty amount at the front end of that. So how would you spend, that lawsuit?
Well, again, I think that coming into it, that is not my expertise. So coming into it, one of the things I believe in is talking to people and having the right people make that decision. That is not a political decision, in my opinion. That is one that you want to work with people to make sure that it's being used correctly and up front. Like you said, if we're getting a lot of money up front, where can it be most effective now versus down the road? This is not a short-term problem. It's not something that's going to be solved overnight, but we have to jump on it pretty hard. And I think using some of that money to do that is the right way. But at this point in time, I'd wait to hear what the experts have to say on that.
Violent crimes increased last year, and they're high rate right now already this year. Why do you think that is?
Unfortunately, I think it's the nature of the beast. I don't like it. I think we need to, again, I think more officers on the street make a difference. I think that following up in the courts, making sure that they're prosecuted to the full degree, and going from there. I think that as we look at what's going on in the city, they have taken the forefront. I mean, there are, and I keep hearing these reports that other crime is down. Well, you know, it's to the point that all crime is bad. I don't believe that the people in St. Joe, for the most part, feel safe all the time. And I think that we have to address that. We have to make everyone feel comfortable and safe in the community. You know, there was another one yesterday, I guess, or last night. And it goes on. And I think cracking down and making sure we get those off the street and having zero tolerance on some of that stuff.
When talking about the structure fires, you mentioned the homeless population. What's your strategy to kind of address, you know, that population?
The homeless population comes up a lot. You know, there are numerous sides to the homeless population. There are some that are there not by their own ability or not by their own cause. There are others that is a way of life for them. And we need to work with the organizations that are in place. Again, when everybody talks, I want to solve the homeless problem, or I want to do this, or I want to do that, there are people that is their job, that is what they've been trained for, that's what they know. And it's our responsibility to work with them and support them. It's not our job to do it ourselves. It's our job to make sure that the right people are in the right place doing it and giving them the support to make sure it happens.
Just last question here. St. Joseph's poverty rate is higher than the state average by about 6 percentage points. How would you reduce, or how would you help reduce the poverty rate in town?
More jobs. Easy answer, but again, there are a number of sides to that. It's all your questions can go 20 different directions, but to solve the poverty problem, you've got a couple of different factors that play into it. Again, jobs, better paying jobs, better jobs, but then training. You know, you look at the training. We talked earlier in our series about schools and everything, but you know, not everybody goes to college, and not everybody has that desire to go to college. So making sure that tech side is covered. I know one company probably has 40 plus jobs open right now for welders. And so how do we make sure that's available? You know, is it working with Hilliard? Is it working with Northwest or North Central? And, you know, again, making sure that the training is there. You talk about the homeless, you talk about the poverty, you talk about how do you get these people, giving them opportunity to go out. And I've used the term many times, I'm a hand-up person, not a handout. And teaching, training, putting in front of the opportunity is how we make this a better place. And it's how you bring up the poverty level.
Those are all the questions I had. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
No, it's been good. I've enjoyed the communication and the conversations.